Je chudan zo jin jono la janja bada dana jasum che daga chishe jebe tsonam lola benja sanje rabo sho sanje chudan zo jin jono la janja bada dana jasum che daga chishe jebe tsonam je lola benja sanje rabo sho Sanje Chedong Sodi Chono Lai Shanje Bada Dana Chazam Che Naga Chishi Jebe Tsonam Je Lola Penjara Sanje Drabo Sho. Okay, good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
Have some tea, coffee.
Morning,
You want tea, coffee, water, juice, some whiskey. Today's changed the time, right? You know what? We lost 1 hour, right? So sad. No, you can sleep early. Yeah. Sometimes it makes a little confused, you know. If I lose 1 hour, you gain 1 hour. But it's good, you know. Sometimes, you know, winter time, like 4 o'clock, or say already dark. It makes your mind also pretty dark. And that'd be nice to some change times also. Okay. Anyway, it's wonderful. As I mentioned before, you know, I think that contentment is very, very important practice. Because we're always looking for something not belongs to us or something not we don't have. We just worry that we just, how can I do that? How can I get that? Or what to do that? Whatever we have, we don't, you know, what's it? Appreciation?
Appreciation?
Appreciation. How is it? Appreciation?
We don't appreciate.
We don't appreciate. Yeah, appreciate. This I think really true. Even right now, you know, we have like, I think right now maybe everyone, and access to the use of the technology for everyone, everywhere. You know, we don't think, oh, this is, we don't really think this is a big perfect. Oh yeah, they're nice. We can use it online. We can use Zoom. We don't think, wow, this is really perfect. Example, if we don't have this 1 year, it's really, really broken. Not just us, for everyone, for all of the world. It's really broken, you know. It's really, you know, there's really something really happened, you know. But no one think, you know, oh, this is a very wonderful, this is a perfect, you know, this is a very, you know, we're lucky, we don't really, no one really think. Like, it's really think because it's except for our lot of things that we don't really recognize, we don't really think that way, right? They think, oh, the internet's not strong enough. We just start complaining. My phone's not working, my internet's not working, I don't know how to join that. The sound is not very clear, you know, we just try to start complaining. Therefore, it doesn't, you know, fix any problems, but it's like that way. Okay, now I'm not talking too much. As usual, first we do like meditation, like 10 minutes to calm body. You know that. And then the next time all the calm body become more details come in, we can also explain for that time. But you know, the true reason we use the Buddha's image to the calm body, one image is, you know, we need, you know, object. in order to meditation come about, we need the object. Therefore, whatever we have to use, then we have to use something. Then you can use, Buddha's image. Second is the Buddha's image is also holy. I don't know if it's a holy body or holy object. We clear the merit. 가능한도 상지 짓 tembe, 짓은 주세요. 상지 짓 temba세요. 근데 되게 연대도 돕고요. 그래서
So if we were to visualize the Buddha's image or statue, then that also creates a merit and leaves a positive imprint of remembering the Buddha and to achieve Buddha's body.
Okay. 텐데다 난 제가 안에 남주 always don't change. Today you do Tara, tomorrow for medicine Buddha. Next day, Buddha is not like that. Always when you come about it, just try to one object always. It's also try to clear and stable there. Okay. Now first, I'm going to 2 times to build this. First one, we do breathing meditation, okay? Because this is also the technique of our mind become more relaxed. And morning also our mind is pretty clear. Not that normally they don't have big storms, the waters, there's outside small waters like, how you call it? And here we don't really see some lakes, them. And then thunderstorm coming, they put then all the dirt come up. Like that, our thunderstorm is not started yet. If you have good sleep, then, right now our mind very clear, very calm, it's good to meditation. Therefore, first to bring meditation, just, mindfulness that to bring in, out, in, out, in, out. Just count that. The second time, then we concentration for the Buddha's image. The analytical meditation, the mixed concentration to more strong, more, how is that? We call palm, right? Palm, oxygen. It gives oxygen for the analytical meditation, or no, concentration for analytical meditation, give the oxygen for the concentration. Therefore, we don't need right now analytical, we most concentration, okay? Ready? Okay. Okay. How's your meditation? Almost enlightened? Do you have any feeling? You know, maybe we don't much feel it right now. And one thing we are just beginner. The second is also not very strong enough. And third is a very short time. Therefore, we looking for the result very quickly, but in order to get the result, any kind of activities, we need to more effort and it takes time. Therefore, try to do always as much as we can is very important. Then now we come back to the, for develop how to meditation or develop, bodhicitta. And therefore, we already done as months. I hope you, something like scan your mind. Okay, like that, you need like that. Even you don't realization anything, but something's okay, it like that. It has like that, or we have to do like that. And that can't, we have to, something to put our mind like seal. Therefore, in order to the also 7-point mind trainings, and we already done a lot. And I would like to everyone just go through for each one to a little bit, okay, first like that, second like that, third like that, then we don't have to remind for all the time. Like, in order to practice meditation, we need to our practice become more successful if there are not obstacles. Therefore, in order to that, we ask to our Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, please to blessing me to my practice to successful for benefit of Mother Sentient beings. You can visualization or recourse like that way. Right? Then there are 7 ways to practice, 7 mind trainings. First, puppeteering. What's that? Puppeteering? What do you call it?
Preparator or preliminary.
The preparing. I think maybe you just easy say preparing. Therefore, this is think about the perfect human rebirth, the impermanent, and then cause and effect or karma, and force of the samsara. This is very important to basic practice. Usually when you have time, you can also read the Lam-rims, they're all details, which one, but maybe we're not able to remember for all of them, that we can just, take from some of that. Okay, then my English is finished. Oh yeah, 아니 다 담조 얘가든다 가지. 다 단단한 미차대요. 다 주마 양중도 미차무차 됐으면서 아니 나라서 미세대다 다 첨보지 찍어요. 말이.
And so this prophet river now that we have, is very difficult to achieve. And even though we are born as human being now, but not certain that we'll be born as human being again in our next life. And so we should consider this as very valuable.
제가 곧 세네기 아니 지금 로탄도타 주부 로 쳇체나 간도데 숄로크 베네 샤시오도 지바로래 제시라요 말와 베나 숄로크 셈체 아니 리칼라 데딩아서 세네기 아니 소소고 보고 소야당 소소고 칼라사야당 창소야당 또 건도 전적요래 가지 상해라 마데베 건도야 걸어서 체크한 요바디 전적요로.
And so we should consider this prophet river as being very precious, and meaningful, and use it in a meaningful way. so that it can be of great benefit to ourselves in the future lives. Otherwise, if we just use it for this life, to have happiness in this life and to eradicate the sufferings or problems of this life, then that's not much different from the animals like birds and so forth, because even they can do things to eliminate the suffering of this life and to find happiness for this life, right? So if they're hungry, they know how to search for our food, and they can find the food, they can eliminate that suffering of hunger and so forth. That can be done even by the animals like birds.
제가 다 단전에 가서 몇 갑라야. 당한존 단 시와세는 다 시산이 다 용 된데래 가지 남을라 가지. 근데 시오말 상관도 샘제 찍대 매번다 용거래. 다 디갑라 가원은 하고인데 다 가지 개와서 들어와야나. 아니 야 먹어봐. 아니 직개와 삼부지 용거여서레스. 다 대임비 전세 다 룬도리 받아 먹고 상당해와. 아니 된데서 다 가지 내 밑에 약보지 책이 밑에 변화된 바치기 삼부터 내 삼부지 다 공도와.
And since this life is not going to last forever, we're going to die someday, because everybody has to die. There hasn't been anybody who has not died. We cannot posit an example of somebody who has never died. So everybody has to die. Just like that, I have to die too. So when I die, then I'm going to have another rebirth again. And at that time, whether I'm going to have a good rebirth or not depends on how I create the karma or actions now. So therefore, in order to have a good rebirth, I should create virtuous actions. The virtuous actions are the cause for a good rebirth in the future. And there has many quotations and logical reasonings to prove that. So you think about that and always think about doing something virtuous to make our life meaningful so that we can have good rebirth in the future.
나도는 가르치고 당연히 돈하다 가르치고 내가 가르치고 그래서나 아주 미참에 그 레라고 건네 라테 용아 하고야라 먹이지고 쓰면하고 송고 그랬다 대내가 전부샤다.
So what kind of virtuous actions should I create to make my life meaningful? In short, or basically, something that is easily understood by all is the 10 non-virtuous actions and abandoning the 10 non-virtuous actions. So always think about observing that morality or the discipline of abandoning the 10 non-virtuous actions.
선물 야보지 따는 남중 알아서 먹이치세다 단 잠블리가 있자가 출력 참여가 도모가 납자 차대요래 잠블리가 춤 차대요래.
So if we think carefully about these 10 non-virtuous actions, the abandoning of the 10 non-virtuous actions is a very common practice of all the religions in the world, and it is also a common practice of the countries in the world.
제당 안아서 배나 총산에 잡으나 남이 받은 참보매야 돼요. 간지 먹이지고 가르게 샤버시는 연구요래. 아니 지 돌보 조모 받은 참보매야 돼요. 소 먹이지고 샤버시는 연구요래. 선물 야보지 따나 때 라슈 쳐요래.
So simply thinking how these 10 non-virtuous actions create all the problems, like smallest problem of the fighting between the couples, spouses, and all the way up to like the war between nations. It all comes from 10 non-virtuous actions.
제가 다때 용당대 또 배는가도 수수 안에 샘단데다가 숨 아니 리보단데다가 아니 숨 아니 지금 땅아 안다 시제서 이게 돼야 돼. 아니 시제는 것도 연구를 왔대. 대가도 그 라테야고 셔도 빼낸 거라샤.
And so these are the what is important to understand, identify or recognize the 10 non-virtuous actions, what they are. It's important to thoroughly understand them. And so there are 3 that comes from our mind, and there are 3 from our body, and then there are 4 from our speech, which can also include like texting, writing.
제가 디나네 디가 싸wan로 맨로 그러나 아니다 이지메게 왔는데 차대요래.
And the root of all these are the main ones are the 3 from the mind.
대나네 안에 날씀 세대 간지 초시 매바다 차대.
And then covetousness is related with the dissatisfaction or
아니
uncontentment.
대미도 소소라 강 요와 되게 텔라야 가로 런탕 마시바지 셴바지 짱짱 반nhập 여러 되게 중요한 거로.
And also, like I said before, because of not appreciating with what we have and always seeking for more and more.
배차지는 다 지나서 배다 다 미자 보모 짱짱 임바다 그 냠냠으로 거로 배네. 지나라 야무나 조가 때문에 야무나 조보조모 이거 갈라 대미 신바지 냠지나 냠도 쳔바이나 응아 소소 텔라야 차도 째고 돼.
So you have experience as a lay person, right? So when you are with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and if your boyfriend or girlfriend goes with somebody else, do you get jealous?
영어로 와. 어찌. 아니 다준 롱에 대한 소소지 여기가 되게 맞서마친데 셴바지 테로 그러 봐. 텔는데 자세로.
And the person who is going with other person, is not satisfied or content with what he or she has, right? While having one person in life, you and going with other person, like not satisfied with one, they're trying to get something else from other ones.
제가 든디기 나선 디가 뭔가 아니 소체바 마지바 렘바 로염차도 타마 키우거다.
And then because of that covetousness, and then that brings all the other actions of our body and speech, like killing, stealing, adultery, and then lying, abusive speech, and so forth.
아 되면 이제 날씀사야지 간지 남주처럼 미대 조보여 봐야나 미대기 차랑기 삼바나지 차랑기 라바나지 많이 봐야나 미대 니마테네 차랑기 다 가지 마가스 미대 차서 그래.
And then the next one from the mind is the ill will. The ill will is related with the hostility or anger, and somebody who you don't get along with, somebody who doesn't get along with you, or like somebody who doesn't listen to you or who doesn't agree with you. And from then onward, that person becomes your enemy or somebody that you don't like. Is it like that? That's how, somebody becomes enemy.
다 대영화도 같이 내는 거잖아. 간도젤라 아니 록타세대요. 록타세대 셔당 남주 추니셔나 레전드 개왕하셔도 콘좀해 봤다가 록타스 남주 샤가 돼서나 다 텔라 대콤 세지담으로 봐. 텔라 mambo part 먼저 스마이어.
And then why that happens is because of the wrong view. So in Buddhism, when we talk about wrong view, in the context of the 10 non-virtuous actions, and it is not believing in past and future lives, not believing in karmic law of cause and effect, or not believing in the three jewels as an object of refuge, and so forth. So that's an example. That's an example of the wrong view, but there are so many different kind of wrong views.
더 축해랭해지라. 다 축해멜랭해지라야 간지네 되 라가지나. 아니 록타세대 수수질라 따완 청전 세글레 간지 수수 내 삼바나지 내 제와나지 따다 레데요. 내 라반지 따다 레데요. 드니 그 삼성아도 참아 휴치 못 쉬거래. 디제 제네 미파초베기 지나던 rum들라나 미팅아도 막아 차로도.
And so this is related with the wrong view that considers one's view as the most supreme one. So holding to one's view as being the most supreme or the best view. And so thinking that whatever I think, whatever I say is best, or whatever I see is the best. So, and then when somebody doesn't agree with that, then you become angry with that person. And then that person becomes your enemy.
오다 되게 제제네 야 리지고네 먹여왔음 마고고네 먹여왔지 참아 마티한 거다.
And then because of that, again, also we create all these non-virtuous actions. 3 non-virtuous actions from the body, and then the 4 non-virtuous actions from our speech.
오케이, 따뜻도 레레시면 제가 대체나서 곰잡 삼로야 보지 땅다 배나. 기라다 미진이 때 따와 만타와도 가르치는 용성 삼다. 포투사데 아니 간즈들 액트들. 다운즈들 게 삼서도 좀 맞어. 날 거가 제 맞어. 옹헬라바들 코니야마 송세는 가서 소치 대투에다 셴바데 진짜 추이들 마음 용거로 봐.
And so you should, consider the situations like where somebody becomes enemy with you, or somebody that you don't like. Why that happened is because of this kind of wrong view, right? Thinking that the things didn't happen the way I want, or that person didn't agree with me, or didn't say like I wanted that person to say, like that. Because of that kind of wrong view, then we start to get angry towards that person.
아니 디가로데는 가서 칸에 두어들 저렇게 락판에 메시지 두어들 지그래. 아니 슈고 콩로 마 셔터베 깔라야 아 답배상 송선다니 다그 타타로.
So then you become angry because of that towards that person, and then in that state of anger, then you say bad words from your mouth, or you write bad things with your finger, and then later when that anger is subsided, then you realize that, oh, what I had said and what I wrote was very bad, and at that time then it's too late. You have already said it or wrote it already. So you have to think carefully before.
나 dom시아요. 나 dom시아. 뭐 좋아지대 재미지 군이 딱 두바셔와요 말.
So I have a story related with that. There was a husband and wife. They got into fight.
아니 좋아지대 같이 아니면 같이 해라.
And then the husband said, "I want to divorce you," to the wife.
아니 재미지 오늘 힘벨라.
And then the wife said, "Are you sure?"
아니 오늘 예세 그 오늘 나한테 저 나가 대입니다. 코로나 컨트롤샤 말.
And then the husband said, "Yes, I'm sure. And I don't want to stay with you anymore." And he left the house.
그 오늘 샘나도 저그 재미가 코카소로 삼부요 말에.
So in the depth of his mind, he didn't have that thought about divorcing his wife.
아니 슈고 콘도 실로로 콘도 마시는 티오가라 제맥이 다그 군이 녀마치니 가로 쳐서 아니 제맥 로열산도 쇼가라 사이 답다다지 아니 쇼 tradition에 고국되어다 나라.
So he said that in the state of anger, right? So he went away, for a couple of days, and then his anger subsided, and now he doesn't have that thought anymore. So he came back, but wife, she assured earlier, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. So she thought it was real, and she already prepared to get the divorce. She went to her lawyer and prepared all the paperwork and even signed the paperwork.
아니 고텔로 다 저대 사이 잡으려고. 근데 가르라요.
And then when he came, when his anger subsided, then he felt bad, and then he came home, and then she showed him the paper to sign, and he said, "What is this for?"
아니 내다 전화 가는 거니 가서 소리라면 바테다 첨도네 찾아져야 돼서 근데 그 가서 대 공로전에 콜랍하면 그거네 때문에 라가
And then she said, "Oh, this is like last time you said you want to get divorced, so I already prepared all these documents, and you just have to sign it now." And he said, "No, I didn't mean that. I just said that in the state of anger, but I didn't mean that."
근데 그 때문에 깜발지도 뭐야 말.
Then he fell down on her feet and then cried.
이봐 때문에 개말을 맞았네 거기 가차서.
But the wife didn't accept, and then they separated anyway.
제가 특징이 공도 대왕의 특징이 더 마음 폰로라.
And so like that, with one single word of coming out of anger, can create such a big problem like that.
Okay, like that. 제가 네 다땡한도 메티기 쪽에서 개말 간정 알아서 녀목 쪽들 와 도시 som도당한도 배나. 아니 먹기와 저거 용사 또 아니 나그 이게 먹었습니다 연구를. 제가 다 알아서 단조 녀가지네 다 단조 녀가 something도 가르쳐 그래. 나 먹기와 저거 시험을 만들어 제고 그래. 다 대타 제고 그래.
So it's not the person's fault, but it's the delusion, the wrong view, the anger at that time. And anyway, so so we have to think about all these negative karmas causing all these problems, and so by abandoning them, and by practicing the virtue section, we should make our precious human rebirth meaningful.
제가 가서 가서 뱀비떠요. 뱀비떠. 제가 님마 드리네. nga mgewa chou yangwa da mando wa chigi mge chig trum yawo song yin sambashi karachi na terene masona sani nga shimado suwa ko re mikse ge talo toyo nedo sani pona ko niga do
And so like like that power of determination, we should think that from today, from this time onward, from today, I'm going to control to not create any non-virtuous actions, any of the 10 non-virtuous actions. I'm only going to engage in the virtuous action, and I'm going to do that from now, from today. And because if we don't do from today, then who knows, if we will be still alive tomorrow, especially at this time when we are going through the pandemic, we might get infected by this COVID-19 anytime and may die after that, right? And so therefore we should make that determination, to do this practice of abandoning the 10 non-virtuous action from this moment, from today, right now.
제가 달로 COVID-19 zamlelaya message 슈치모 슈 따와래 오 ngalaya chene ganga igoida 다당 찍바 찍자인다
So this COVID-19 has sent a very strong message to the whole world, saying that everybody is equal. Nobody can be discriminated to get on, not get this disease.
어째다 제다 된지금 아니 먹여지 오마번 네가 먹여지고 정원의 전에 강르기 정원의 전에 아니 레사 레지원은 양종한 코를 제다래 삼네 진짜 달라서는 니마 데리네 당가 먹여지된 거는 sabdub치기 나스미데 다시 그렇대 아니 응엔도든지 추때마티 타마 디나단 주디었다 된데로 고고 그래서
And so if I don't abandon creating, so one should think that if I don't abandon creating the non-virtuous action, then I may die, and if I die with the non-virtuous action, then I'm going to create a negative karma to be born in the cycle existence again. And this way, again and again, I will be like circling in cycle existence, around and around, and will never be free from suffering. And so, therefore, from today, from now onward, I'm going to engage in this practice of abandoning the 10 non-virtuous actions.
아니 다 되는 이바데 이제 상식을 셈정하더라. 다 대라 아니 군접 상식을 셈정하다. 대동 상식을 셈정 니요래. 간제 아니 대동 상식을 셈정해야돼 동반이 구매들이스.
And then, so like that, if you think, of making perfect rebirth meaningful, in that way, then that includes, all these preparatory practices, right? And then in the next is the actual practice of generating the bodhicitta, and there are two kinds of bodhicitta: ultimate bodhicitta and the conventional bodhicitta. The ultimate bodhicitta is the wisdom realizing emptiness.
다대한 사람들 소소고 자다 니사데 소소고 루이코 파 따샤바지 마도 오늘 병인데 자다 니사데 도도지 깨요 말에 삼비콜라다 텔라데 다데 마 도고요.
And so the emptiness is here, the empty of existing inherently or from their own side, right? Seeing that, and so everything is merely imputed by our mind. There's nothing existing from their own side.
다 아니 군도 상지고 섬공고 말라 조대 단 디갑도 다진 냠제군 공고게 디갑소대 다 돈는 거면 들어와.
And then generating the conventional bodhicitta, there are two methods, and at this time we're discussing about the method of equalizing and exchanging self with others to generate bodhicitta.
다때 레라쇼 데 담보섬도 당도 야 semje 참아 나라나지 대반도 주 등하면도 친투래샤 대삼로지 이거다.
So first you equalize yourself with all other sentient beings by thinking that myself and all others are equal or same in wanting to be happy and not wanting any sufferings.
제가 대대 뭔가로 쓰질라 동안 동의 그 semje 쓰징아서 라고 말은 잠블랑 해마라모니로 단다라고 말해. 제가 대화도 주 등하면도 간도 친투래 스테르뱅아도
So we are all same in that aspect. There isn't anybody who wants to have suffering. You can't find anybody who wants to have suffering in the world, right? And so they are all same as myself in wanting to be happy and not wanting any suffering.
다 내 옛날에 나 주도가래 참아야는 나라라 소소한 거 들으면 그 신발에 주도네 거 매서 나도 삼부터네 레그로 와.
And then we might think that yes, even if that is the case, doesn't matter. Why should I care about others? I should just take care of myself and not care about others. We might think like that, right?
제가 자태 첨부 시월에게 상제 공방 토야라 나라서 상제 공방 토와라 상제의 샘신이까지 시주 찍바래 소말에서 제가 상제라 기집 지원의 정도 샘신을 가지는 기집 지어 말에 대다 상제 룬을 듣고 와.
And so Shantideva said, for us to achieve a state of full enlightenment, the Buddha and sentient beings are equally kind. And so it's not like one or another is more kinder than other. It's not like that. They both are equally kind in wanting us, in enabling us to be fully enlightened.
어디 다 두섬 로지 다 간도 섬당을 젠센지다 간지 소소 마행 얘기 소소 비빈자 도보 좋아지면 될 젠라 그래. 또 참아 간조 다 센들란 소식 대발라 콘도 참아까지 첨보이 말했어. 대가서 셈라란 좋다 그러와.
And therefore, they are equally kind. Therefore, you can't say, I'm going to respect the Buddha and not respect the Sentient. You can't do that, because they both are equally kind in us achieving a state of full enlightenment. And then also, think about others as being very kind to us in a way like whatever we have now is by the kindness of others. Without the kindness of others, we can't have anything in this life.
제가 단단한도 탱그래. 마음에 강가라 내가 지요. 강가라 깔리 자기 원서 탱그려 와. 탱가도 탱그 처음에 연구했어.
So that can be proven very easily, right? But still we have this, strong, holding, holding that, thinking that, whatever I have is by myself. I worked hard. I earned the money. I did myself. I did all these things by myself, and because of that, I have this. We always think like that. So we always tend to forget others' kindnesses, thinking in that way.
제가 다들 리파테던 거 땅 들고 고 레레 대처나 된 버리나. 저 내가 돼 스위트했어.
So yeah, it's true. It's true that you worked hard yourself, but who gave you that work?
다 영어 만나 아니 제자 도 전에 영어 만나 배나 총장이라고 해. 나 나가는 깔이 자고 총장. 전화 잘라도 순요소. 전화 잘라도 용해지면은 저 총도 람도로 말아.
And then some people, who are doing like a traders, they might say that, oh, it's because I worked hard, I traded the things, that's why. But again, you have to have the merchandise, to sell and buy, right? So even those things, where did you get from? You get from others.
Do you know the guys there? Sharks?
Shark Tank?
Yeah, Shark Tank. 근데 총박하지도 콘도냠도야 될지. 아니 콘도냠도 총거 될지나 콘도 딱게라 전보다 총야 보이는 거.
So is that a Shark Tank, right? So I think they interview the people, or they do an audition to the people who comes with different ideas about business, and then they buy their business, because if they buy it and if they sell their business to these people, then they will make their business become more successful or more famous, and so they sell their business to these people.
제가 간지 총바이나 그런 용해지 매와이나 그 총도 저거 말이야. 제가 그 마케팅 로사지 고고요. 자 간지 참아파 쭉질에 땡대요. 제가 그리 침보래 생각도 삼때 란초가 해봐요.
So even if he's a trader or business person, he or she needs to sell and buy the things. So it depends on others. So it's all through others that one is able to buy or sell the things, right? If you are not able to, if there's no others, who will buy or sell the things, then you won't be able to do business.
오다다데 주안에 대 주도서면 나가가랑 중요 나가라 깔자기요한테 삼바이나 용탈라 남주처럼라 이메일 당사지다. 폰 다듯이 파시 마차 요래 소소고 비빈자 남이 조보조모세로.
And then again, you must just think, yeah, that's true, but still, I worked hard. I'm smart. I'm very capable, and I do all the stuff by myself. But then, when you do this stuff, you have to have computer to do your stuff, right? Or phone to make a call to others.
다데 제가 하고 문들은 알레 나도 배나 소소 냠도 벤다 제단 시민가도 망보여라 등소 가도 가르쳐 버려 콘도 가도라 가오 책도 콘도 요와는 가도 콘도 깨지시 좋은도 아니 좋아이 되게도 와.
And so, so yeah, so in that way, then you can think, yes, that's also from the others, right? And then even like simple things like, the animals with you, right? Like your pets, cats and dogs. Do you ever think about their kindness? Because they're there, they give you comfort. You can pet them, you can, talk to them and play with them, right?
제가 가도라나 내 코속에서 가도 되게라. 내 코속에 앞으로 가르치면 공학을 가르치면 가도 되게 말아.
And so we think, we don't think of their kindness. We only say, oh yeah, I'm taking care of them. I'm taking care of them. I'm, providing them, with a place and food. And so how can they be kind to me?
제가 나도 삼아야다 군도 나도 좋아이 되게다. 되게도 해.
But they give us some kind of feeling, right? Do they give some kind of feeling to you, your pets?
좀더 니마 지인이라 지나도 펫도 만도 그래 좀더 되게도 해.
Do you miss your pets if you don't see them for a couple of days?
다시 되게 돼. 다시 되게 돼. 때내 되게. 대 템바데 저 남지 그 좋아이 되게요. 다.
Yeah, you definitely remember, right? You remember, you miss the pet, and that shows that the pet gives you some kind of feeling usually.
오케이. 어데 대치지. 다 대지만 다 누구 곰자고. 다 간지 소수 두 점세 삼로 야보 다 텔레 제검라 그래. 와. 다 조금 되긴 조금라 슉작다. 조금 슉쳤단 거.
So you have to analyze in that way. When you think about the kindness of others, right? You analyze. You do all this analytical meditation by thinking over the reasons. Oh yeah, they're like this because of that, because of that, because of that. So you think about this. So that's called the analytical meditation. And then after having done the analytical meditation, then you have to come to the conclusion. Yes, it is like that. And then you just stay on that conclusion. And that's called the engaging meditation. So the analytical meditation that gives you and supports the stabilized meditation.
두 저는 다 소소라까지 찾아다 텐디 샘체지게 소소 삼았다. 다 텔라지 리제 나다 샘지 동안으로 소소란테 와들 좋나? 다 소소 그게 거리침보다 동안다 자고인데 자왕 하나 제고인데 삼니. 근데 소소그치 리그 다 샘게 대화다 개와칸 예바데 우파다니 콜파테 삼았다. 아니 그걸 링아에서 이제 지금 안에서 타마야 수수 추인도가 대단냠도 추일랩송 삼바도 지금 곰 티간 되고.
And so now, when you have found somebody like who's very kind to you, then think about that, that person or that sentient being, and since you can easily think about the kindness of that person, then you want to repay the kindness of that person, of that being, right? And you want, so how do you repay the kindness? Is by providing happiness to that person and taking the sufferings of that person away. So there you develop this loving kindness and compassion. And then so with the love, you imagine giving happiness to them, but then imagine taking all the sufferings of this being that you think of being very kind to you, and all their sufferings upon you with compassion.
제가 당긴 해를 시대고 진세도 삼아 야보 이제 삼라란 전나 아데 에나 메나 삼 도바도 사가 말 고셈 다랑 고 대화를 빼땜보 작으로.
And so if you have analyzed the earlier part properly, then you will have not much doubt, whether it's really like that or not. You don't have that kind of doubt. Your mind is very stable, and then you 100% focus on that matter of taking the sufferings from these beings and providing them with happiness.
오다 두 전에 아니 두 돈을 고네 다 우군종원데 되네 돈 아니 수수 개와들서 바다 아니 간다 찔라 땜보잖아요 간다 카주네야 셴바지 라고 두 전에 아니 샘제 참말 두지 검자야 돼.
And so like that you do the meditation on taking and giving, taking the sufferings of beings upon yourself. As you breathe in, then you give the happiness to others as you breathe out, like that. You do that on one being that you have thought about being very kind to you, And then after that, then you can apply similar reason on other being, who has been kind to you, and then another being, so like that. Then you can start to expand, on all beings, and then again you do that meditation of taking, giving, upon all beings.
양 삼삼야 티 특들인데 지나 지들 아마 투지 마전들 두두두가 말리다다 달라면 된게 특다고 그러와 어떤데 로종 특다고 된데 야 되게 특인데 만야 샘나 삼보다 팽거와.
And also, if you can remember any verses, from the group puja or from the mind training teachings, if you can remember any verses, that explains about the meditation on taking and giving, then you can recite that, to help you remember to do that meditation.
당에대 시다 쳐서 도도 윤이 저거지 다파 마모를 망자서.
So I'm supposed to. I was, trying to give you a simple, short, but it's becoming pretty long.
다 된데 냠네 집에 깔라야 지금 받지 보면은 더 받치면 어때 깽애들이 거로 다 깽애 되기 전에 맞아죠 단데가 양주 추 야보chen 것도 삼모 야보 땅 것도 꿀말에 섬네 가지 뒤 깽애 상처럼 되죠 뒤가 완도 말고 있고 그래서.
And then when you're doing these kind of practices, there might be many interferences or obstacles. You might be unhappy, or you might encounter with many other problems. And at that time, you should not be discouraged to do the practice. Rather, you should think that, oh, this is it's helping me to purify the negativities, and it's actually stimulating more for me to do the practice.
다 디쇼데 아니 세치긴 냠네 되네 때 봐서 들어.
And then after that, then you do this the practice apply to the whole lifetime.
아니 다 대나는 못 보죠. 간제 똠가다데 아니 천디게 똠가 시각에 똠가까지 또 장같이 봐야 봐.
And so those are the the five practices of the five powers, right? The five powers, practice of the five powers to be applied in this lifetime, during the lifetime, and then during the time of death.
간제 다 당보대 펜베 답사대 내가 제출한다고 다 간제 냐마 데리네 내 뭐게 저거 들으면 야보 송거 예사면 펜바야 보 냐마 데리네 단단해서 펜바야 보 당하더랜도.
And then the first one is the power of determination, which is the most important. That is like setting a proper motivation to do the practice. And so, like I mentioned earlier, to have this strong thought, thinking that from today, from now on, what I'm going to abandon the 10 virtuous actions. So having that kind of strong determination.
아니 까보 서번제 답사대 간제 디니 냠네데 야 고네 고는 패야게 쳇다 아니 지삼로 따야래 오다 상지부 셈 고마고 독제고는.
And then the power of the white seed, power of what the white seed is any kind of practice, to purify the negativities and to accumulate merit. So so with that, then you can be more successful, in the practice that you do.
아니 드네 제자베가라 고수 강한 제와데 다 조장 와데 다 내가 좀 무식 자장을 남고지.
And so after that, then after having created this positive karma, or positive action, that is, it is important to dedicate that for the achievement of the enlightenment, for the benefit of all sentient beings, and that is also the most important one.
다 대체니까 똠가세 다 세계 똠가세 다 장같이 봐야 봐지 다 당보변나 뱀비다서데 간지가 시갈라가 샹치고 셈다 맞아버지 개회 셈다 맞아버지 제기 제고군도 용어 쇼삼 가디나 때 삼고래.
And so that's the power of prayer, also to dedicate that. And then the five powers to be practiced at the time of death. And so always thinking that may I be able to die with bodhicitta. May I never be separated from bodhicitta when I die.
어때는 거야? 아니 깔보 사번지 답사대 간지 시갈라가 안에 소소 가나야 마차와 용어 쇼세 때 삼당고도.
And so to be with bodhicitta and to never be separated from bodhicitta all the time. And then the power of the white seed at the time of death, is to die without clinging to any of the possessions.
아니 다 대나가 내가 제주지 아니 남바 선지바다 간지 소소고 시작도 못 하고 소소고 셈라야 알랭아딘 드마 송상바나 아니 시작도 못 하고 그래서 대나가 시작도.
And then the power of reputation is also very important. That's to purify the negativities, to do the confessions, and to do the purification practice. That is very important to die without this kind of non-virtuous actions at the time of death.
어제 다 대식 됐어. 다 나와 대 로종에 세트 네가 냠내 지나 다 저런 거 로종 거 똑바 주제를 깨우게 세로 가려요. 아니 되게 산삼으로 가오래 해서.
And then after that, so if once you're having practice, the mind training in that way, then how do you know, when you have generated bodhicitta or not? What is the criteria of having trained the mind?
다 대라야 안에 된다고 말 시요를 다 이게 다 도도 시기나 봐. 그런 식식이 있어.
And so there are four parts to that. There's the four main parts of that subject.
아 강들 안에 수수가 추가리지 제바였나 대 수수지 나도 나한테 되게 님본 저거도나 오 수수지라 로종 또 받게 따치레스.
So whatever practices you are doing, if that practice becomes antidote to the self-grasping ignorance, then that is the criteria, and that is the sign of having trained your mind. There's a few other signs, so that's one of the signs.
단도 지도 삼로 땅에 갈라야 아니 지 소소고 지 링아여서 뭐 지 텐데 제당 삼로 땅에 갈라야 셈나야 아당아tin 득문도 섬에 텐데긴 조파 매와 있나 아니 야 로종 또 받지 따시레스.
And so whatever you are doing physically or verbally, if you find that you have no regret in doing that action, then that is another sign of having trained the mind.
단 디길라다 벤 조바다 벤 수수고 벤 야마나 아니 지 밀라 컨트롤 하셔봐. 야마나 밀라 노바 제셔봐. 야마나 수수고 지 레카 노조치바 간지 딘딜라가다. 딘디고 수수 섬라 아 당한 된 드문도 섬 딘데 섬라 딘데 매와이나 아니 다 로종 또 받지 게 따지 용결레스.
And so, like, if you haven't done anything, like getting angry towards others or feeling unhappy about others, or things like that. So if you have, so whatever you did, if that didn't cause any regret in you, then that is the sign of having trained the mind.
아니 숨바치. 아니 니바들 다 숨바데 가르서나. 야 남주다 나도 가디나 지 발첸다고 쟁엔다고 근데 용도 갑라야 아니 디정원 뭐 단대가라 로종야 붙이쇼세 따래샤스 아니 내가랑게 반에 아니 로종 쇼를 파 저렇게 이해선배 근데기 로제가 도도나 아니 야 로종세 따시레스.
And then the third one, is whenever you face with the difficulties or you are in an unfortunate circumstances, then at that time, if you think that, oh, this is giving a signal that I should do more practice of the mind training, then that is also another sign.
가로 다다달라
말로다다 달라 멤버다 다기 동와이
오 제대로 젬베가 아니 지 렌타 간지 드럽다 동안가라 티모 따때 무용도 삼 가는 거 로종은 냠냈다 따따 용건도 삼 때라 가지 쪼지데 쳐봐야나 오다 졸로종야 야보용 거 따레스.
And so thinking that just like in the verse, says that may all the negativities and the sufferings ripen upon me right now, like that. So when you're facing some difficulties, and then it says, oh yeah, I wished I wanted to take the sufferings of others upon me. So now it's really happening. I am really able to take the sufferings of others upon me, and now they're free from their sufferings because I'm able to take this upon me. So it's really happening or ripening on me. And so thinking like that, if you feel happy in experiencing the adverse conditions, then that is the sign of having trained the mind.
어디지? 다 시와데 다 마타 마체 베체나 아니 로버드지 깽에라고 송하이나 아니 다 내자 셔던어서 무게와 대 로종을 트로스파이 키토에나 오다 저런 로종을 또 받게 세레 따지레스.
And so that the fourth one is when you are able to take the difficulties without any investigations or analysis or investigation, you are able to take that difficulty into a path to train the mind or to enlightenment. Then that is another sign of having trained your mind.
양고 따 제지는 간도 다 양지 초면도 사마당치 야 마타바곤들이 그래 많이 받지 로버트 따바셔나 간지 되게 수수 셈 많죠 같이 제타와이나 아니 콜로종 게요 따레스.
So usually, of course, if we investigate, then maybe we must say, oh yeah, that makes sense. But without investigation, right, without analysis, when the things happen, and immediately you're able to think that, oh, that's a favorable condition for me to train my mind. If you think like that, then that's the fourth sign of having trained your mind.
어제 오다 다 소유자랑 로종치가 로종지라 또바께요나 메나삼 또바께나 단다 랍데데 소소데 상근도 좀 되다야 돼.
And so, if you are not sure whether you have that criteria of having trained the mind or not, those are the four factors that you need to see. So if you have any of those, then you have trained the mind.
제 추근 공바 찍던 뒤에네 간지 산지에 지다 추지 본보 제르자동 송바다 사마데 가르르서는 가라수 아니 섬도야 그체들에서 남이 송고요 봐.
So all these teachings of the Buddha, like the 84,000 heaps of doctrine that Buddha taught, is to subdue our mind.
그러봐. 아니 가로 쇼죽치 여와 가로 대나다다 탐전에 혈압 대외 혈압되는 송사 가로.
연락되다 탐전에?
연락되다 탐전에 대외 혈압 어떻게 한다? 아니 쇼주 내가 당분이 봤으마다 사마데 가르르서나 아니 간지 로종은 냠len 아야마나 돈요도 벨로지라 제가 냠len 대제가 제대로 송도 나도 된다 치바용도 와.
And just like it's said in the Shantideva's Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, that says all these branches are taught, in order to generate the wisdom. So, so in the previous chapters, in the chapter on generosity, morality, effort, and so forth, all these chapters, and the Shantideva taught, is eventually at the end, to be able to generate the wisdom.
Okay. 제다 로종 세대 나다 단다 로종은 냠는데 수수질라야 로종 또바께 여메게 자마자야 길로 테라들 따다다 로요 말.
And so, just like he said in his Guide to the Buddhist Way of Life, that all this, Buddha taught all this, to be able to generate wisdom like that. So, so all these teachings that Buddha taught are to subdue our mind. And anyway, so that's the criteria, or it's like the scale, whether you are on the side of having trained the mind, or on the side of not trained the mind. So you see that by seeing any of these four signs.
다 당적인 nhiệm으로서 간다 가진 소득질라 나서면 당들마 추르로는 대 nhiệm 도요. 대야 체르로는 nhiệm 도요 말해.
So what becomes an antidote to the self-grasping, this grasping of the self, is like anything that you do, if that suppresses your ego, grasping at the self, then that is the antidote to the grasping of the self.
어제 다들 같이다 노동로지 다 산이야 주마등가도 다 주망에만 로종에마도 다 양시 몸보자 제금에다 다 간도 주만에 번개나도 까망아 쓰질라 되나 노동로 검시 의잡되는 것도 만족인다 다 니마 따바이 강하로도.
And so that's about it for the criteria. And in short, so of course there's a lot of explanation in the text, so you can read through that. And then we've been going through this mind training again and again all the time. So we don't have to go through that so many times now. I think you have understood enough. So I'll just go through briefly next time, and then we go next. We move to the next subject, next topic.
Okay, 이나 시단 된 내가 침모를 제가 내리 시단 쇼치는 지난 가도 내리 걸 양도 섬로 땅와이나 팽거와 man Roshana kun Dendado Dendiga Lakido Tana could Taman Roshana could Denade Tarson Lakidan, although Lakin Maro. Cheda Chedan on Gordon Diorin, they can similar pa Naranson Digan Son Shawa de Sulu similar by Jargo, Pesha the Park Jartevocala, Sulu similar, oh, the sometime I go with.
And so usually, it is okay to take long time to go through that, because it is important, to get that, to our mind, right? And even if we go through all this teachings fast, but if we don't get anything to our mind, anything, that helps, to improve our mind, then that's, then it's not useful, right? It's not like a regular class, where you just go through the subject and then at that end you take exam and then you say, yeah, I've completed. It's not like that, right? More important thing is to apply that to our mind, to our day-to-day thinking, right? So for that, we have to spend a lot of time and do the the practice of meditation again and again, many times. And so that's why it is important, to do it slowly, even if it takes a long time.
제자 단다 로종을 챈도와 로종을 챈도 또 봐질랬잖아 다처럼 그라지부치 해서더니
So when do we get graduated from our study or practices? When we have, and again, those signs that I just discussed.
오케이 제자가 제자 곰잡 떼고 영화 여봐요 그 영화 몇 번이 말해.
And so when we're talking about meditation all the time, it's not just something that cannot happen, right? We're talking about, or we're practicing something that can happen.
제자다 나도 다 대체 영화 여봐 쭉 가지 하고 그래. 나도 가지 하고서나 당간도 남주 시당 이제 중을 이체요나 다 상지도 상조 세방도 빠데메 봐 펩선 바래 상지 좀 된데 펩바는 것도 뭐 송고여라 와.
So but how do we know that it can happen? And of course, we don't have experience in ourselves, but then we can relate to the stories of all these holy beings like Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, who have gone through this practice and to whom it really happened.
제장 안 두고 변에 요모세대 생각까지는 깨지가 되면도 주로 요모 깨지가 되면도.
It's just like the delusions are not manifesting in our mind all the time. Are they manifesting in your mind all the time?
고제로 제가 고 못하버나지는 고 매봤어야 요래고 군직도 상가지 빠 요래.
So depending on the condition, it comes and it goes. It's manifesting, and then it subsides or manifests, and then it goes away. It's there, but it's just not manifesting. So it is impermanent also. So by applying the right antidote, it can be eliminated.
Okay. 제대다 네 중간간도 내가 단다 대세 시행이 놓아 시스도 대항간도 대세 제시한다 그렇지.
And so again, we'll have a little bit more discussion or more detailed discussion on these 4 points that I just mentioned about, the 4 signs.
제대 시당에 들이 딩해게 단다 전세 시대 대들 윤윤도 도대원도 집에까지 다인데 파양만 보지 tukso.
So I suppose to make it short, summarized, but it became again more and more longer.
제대 지나가도 되는 말로지 디나네 노동라고 도도 차상 빼자는 여 강강가도 로천도만 수수지 노동라고지 레베나 오마 두두는 말래야죠. 오마 오마가 키고 말어. 그때나 너도 말티키로 되나지 수로지 단 대문에 안 돼야 본데 내가 어땠을 레전에 검잡다는 평그래.
And so you just go through all these discussions and then you take the extract, the main points, just like when you churn the milk, and then from there you don't take the whole milk, you just take the butter, and after churning the essence of the milk, it's the butter, you just like that, you take the main points from this subject. You can't take the whole thing.
제대변에 차상 단다 로종은 냠내데 차상 먹이치봉 틀마지는 야는 것도 삼모타인도.
And so just like I mentioned earlier, all this the practice of the mind training, and it can be done by applying it to the practice of abandoning the 10 unvirtuous actions.
삼성 것도 되는데 다 상식고 생각도 다시 뛰어요 삼말다 되도 다른 뭐지 간대야 하 상식 생각 간대야 하 고음는 것도 솔로 때 시작도 와.
So sometimes, yeah, so we feel like, the bodhicitta is very far away, far away from our reach. We can't really develop that. We feel like that, right?
이나 당가도 무게치가도 참여하고 그러와.
But we all know what are the 10 and virtuous actions.
무게치고 가르라시나 되게 노라는 거 어떤 것도 신경 그러와.
And we also know that if we engage in any of the 10 and virtuous actions, that will create problems to ourselves, right?
제 장아 다 추제서야 돼. 고대오지나 간지 수술링아 요섬 나보자 되래도와. 랑그 샘의 용선은 너는 산지 땜바 이거로 또도로래도.
So, when we say practice, basically what it means is to tame your mind. So to take care of your mind, not engage in the non-virtuous actions. So just like it said, subdue your mind. This is the teachings of the Buddha.
어째자 맨날 날샘 세야 되는데 자고자도 다 대권 람람을 가진 소소 강 여바들이야. 가로 어르탄스지 가와고마치. 소소 매백이 가로 샤와들이야. 가디나 디칸 샘피체 마드바치. 오 때네 데레로 삼는 거다.
So, and then about the covetousness I mentioned earlier. So be appreciative of the things that you have, be satisfied or be appreciative of the things that you have, and not seek more and more out there that you don't have.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Jennifer.
Thank you, Geshe. The third criteria, the fourth criteria seems more like an advanced level of the third criteria. So are we supposed to understand these as stages of measures of our mind training?
그래, 숨바
시바디 숨바기 때문에 데스야 진짜 토하다고 동무도스 땡아저 다때 가서 림바림바 좀 도와야 되리 베스
다 내가
숨바디가 시바니
그래, 숨바를 많이 수근 통들어.
말다 숨바디 단단가서 데 로정게 체 숨바죠라
아.
로정게 체 숨바디나 시바니
다 빠진 로단로 회사로 제장배나 강터배나 숨바데 단데 고름 자샤자 콘데 고름 그래나 땡에 가래 쇼만나 대 샹집쌤 맨 로정 제가 냠내 파탄 더 와였나 아니 시와다 따다 연구돼 고대 봐 시와다 따다 레고.
So so whatever adverse conditions you face, if you can convert that to the path to enlightenment, then that is the fourth sign, right?
말마 숨바 들어와
Oh, sorry, that's the third sign.
다 시와대 맞다 맞으면 또 땡에로 쇼와이나 고쌤 만투나 고 시와대 온 거예요.
This is the code. There's lots of thought of skills.
제가 고 로센 더 숨바대 요한다 고 시와대 고랑슈 말해요 거다.
And then the fourth one is, without even analysis or investigation, when you're faced with these difficulties and able to take that difficulty or adverse condition into the path to enlightenment, then that's the fourth sign of having trained the mind. And you're right, yeah. So it is like more advanced, So when at the beginning you think about all this, because oh yeah, this is good is happening to me, and just like I wished, so therefore I should not be disappointed with that. I should rather take that into a path to enlightenment. So you do that, but then when you get more familiarized with that practice, and then later when you face with that kind of difficulties, even without investigation, without any thought, you'll be able to take that into a path to enlightenment. So like yeah, so it is a little bit more advanced. Yes.
맨날 빼도 샤야 맨날 따숑게 단데 내마나 못아요 말어. 나 따숑을 빼샤리. 따숑에 야보 지여와이나 고샘 셴발라 야르나 고 따그마 사그 말해서 사이니가 말. 따 야보 쇼 고 가디나 삽서 맞이나 사이니가 여러분. 제가 빼 대샤야. 로종 야보이나 고샘 셴발라 이 간지 샘 가디나 로종 거를 마샤와이나 고 로버트지 깽에들 쇼나 고샘 주고 말해서 들려 고도.
더디가라 시바기
시와 뺀다고. 제가 샘 더와 야데 와나 야 고로드 sten쇼나 고샘 맞추고 셴나 제가 말했어.
So they have given this example of horse riding. So if you are a beginner stage, then you have to be very careful. You have to like watch all the time, to not fall. But when you are advanced, then you don't have to pay much attention. You will be easily, without paying much attention, you'll be able to ride the horse easily. So yeah, it's similar to that.
제가 저도 따숑식이에요.
You guys know how to ride a horse?
제가 나도 little bit. I was pretty good for horse riding when I was a kid. Maybe I'm not now. 제가 따디 남주 쉬어 보시나 고 따셔도 고 sabzobshira 제가 말고 고 현다는 배 간제 수수 수보 너 땅가 간제 따 현다 자지 제여다. 이제 sabzobshira 제가 말해.
So if you know how to ride a horse, then you don't have to be very careful. It's like your body get used to that, balancing or things like that. So you don't have to pay much attention. You will not fall. You will just easily ride it.
제가 로브종 변나 또 봐야 보게다나 아니 코 가디나 당할 링도 소소소 따고 면도 로드 또 와견들이 쇼와나 디고 셈 투토고 말이지.
So just like that, if you have trained your mind well, then you don't have to check whether you're doing it right or wrong. When you are advanced or used to that, then you easily will do it right.
배 자신은 단대 갑랑아도 내 검장 초대고 그래 잡로들라 미치게야 무슨 시가 가디 한 가지 잡나가도 코로사 같이 what's going on there. That take a much was go there.
So like when you are listening to the teaching, and then somebody outside your window honks very loudly, and then you become, why this person is disturbing us, why like, and you become angry. And so if you have trained your mind well, then you won't be angry.
Okay. Yes, Margaret.
Thank you, Geshe. I don't really have a question, but can I request Damcho to repeat the first two traits in your words? How did you describe it? What was the word you used? I had it.
First two signs?
The first two signs, is it whatever practice you're doing becomes the antidote to, is it self-grasping mind?
Oh,
Yeah.
진짜
Yeah.
So it's the self-cherishing attitude.
Okay. And then number two, what is
Anybody?
소소변도 삼으로 단 레레치 대와이나 다 주쇼 삼다 다데 주쇼 삼다 거다 알레 당간 때서 노르샤 섬에 딘리게 삼라야 소소직 못하고 왔더니 매와이나 되게 오래세.
So this is from the Dharma point of view, right? So when you are just sitting like that and then think about the actions that you have done, right? And if you don't feel regret for having done that action, or like having done something with your body or having said something with your mouth, if you don't get regret on that, then that's the sign of having trained your mind.
제가 남주등한테 대 좋아하려고 말해. 이나 맨날 콩로라고 생각을 누가 될랍 슈마 콩로마 쉬다가 아 빼가 대도 말하면 따따이 삼을래도 어디로 오는 거지.
So usually we don't get it, but like sometimes when we get angry and then we say something bad to others out of anger, right? And then later we feel like, oh, that was not good. I said that out of anger, but that was bad. Like you feel regret towards doing that. When you have regret like that, that shows that your mind is not trained.
So the text, I think, well, the Lam-rim text seems to explain it as what you are, what you display, what you are inside should be the same as what you are outside. So, it's not like outside we pretend to be very, not pretend.
단다 제요 대코다마 제세지는 거라. 그 제원하는 거라. 와. 그 제세지는. 당에 전화도 같이 뒤뒤로 올라거다.
말도 다 알아서 그러다.
대대 다래. 대코는 같이
Yes.
신나 집어 많이 봐지. 신나는 강가 신나니가 집어하고 그래서.
Yeah, that's what it is exactly. Yes.
제가 장보시나
Your inside and outside should be same.
제가 지지면도 장보시나 지나 집어 지으면도
So many Westerns, are not, same inside and out exactly, right?
철로라 지 막 야도지 겐도 쉬어야지 다 나라라 코파 가지 소소 마가지나 소소 미드 마가는 도지 가지 도와지나 it's very nice to see you not see long time 잡로코 콘도 사데 미드 가지 마또 고도 사데 제들이 맞이스.
So Westerners are very, different inside and out, right? Like inside they hold this grudge and anger or the dislike and so forth, but outside when they meet, it's it's so nice to meet you, I missed you, and so forth like that. So that's very different from outside and inside. So it should not be like that.
제가 대가 나들은 몸부터 세대 누 대대고 지나 뭐 시각이나 야만나 때가로 공식이나 진사대.
Yeah, I've seen many people do that. I don't know. That's their that's how they are, or maybe that's how they've been doing all the time. So they get used to do like that.
누 밴드로 맨날 신독. 근데 시험만 받지 남하면 어찌 바래스. 근데 요마 신앙이가 뭐 그래스.
It's like their habit, of doing that. I don't know, maybe like that. But anyway, so it's like said like, a fruit, that's ripe inside and not outside. It's like that. So it should be same. When you see it ripe, from outside, then it should be ripe, from inside also.
오케이.
Thank you.
제가 도시에 대내진에 신도도 빼자는 데는 마셔다 망보요래. 다 내들이 셔다 간지 다 노동으로 지 윤이 지역 계셔야 돼.
So yeah, there are many, detailed explanation about that with the example of the ripe fruit and so forth, right? But anyway, I try to just make it, abbreviated, with just the main, point of the teaching.
Okay. When always I just explain, I just make more difficult. Some take by young woman do so. Some young mom, Marchena, yating go out some do. Pacho some in the summer yabotana, Marchena, take a young go to a pengre. Now some shall tamatumna, Unishena yatiado.
So sometimes, when I try to explain it in a short, then it creates a confusion. But so for some people who thinks a lot, who spends a lot of time doing the contemplation, then it is good to have a more detailed explanation. They can contemplate. But for some people who doesn't have time to do that, then you just think short way.
단데 참아가지고 니마 따바 줘요. 디바체야 메자시. 개와 포도 가로. 개와 디바체야 메자시. 개와 포도 소바야. 랑가 세네서 너는 사지 오다 되게 되는데 따다 랩들다.
So it's just like that verse that we recite every day, in the prayers. Do not commit any non-virtuous action. Commit virtuous actions perfectly. Subdue your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So it's exactly like that.
제가 남중하도 대로가 되게 로종 되게 저도 좀 드랭도 되게 좀 아까시.
So when you're reciting that prayer, do you ever think about the mind training practice at that time?
대마체 정말 대다 카이 말대.
I don't think most of you do that.
제가 또 로종도 디나 따다는데도 차상한데는 막 디나를 노도 줄룩샤다.
So that's the the short, the abbreviated of version of the mind training practice.
제가 산지에 빼나 람름 로종 냠네 지역 갈에 빼나 간도 빼나 노치네 빼나 잘라 춥시바지 대바이나 코시다 쇼크시어로데 쇼크시어다. 근데 쇼크치기 되는 거가 같은 거 되라고 그래서.
So
설마 쇼크를 두고 그래요.
So like it said in the Lam-rim teachings, there's a cushion cover, the cushion cover. So if you pull one corner, then all the four corners gets pulled. So just like that, so when you do the practice, one practice, then that should cover all the other practices.
제가 당보 제체 두번 마운트들 받아 줄로 탐지 담바전 담아 인생관의 냠달라서나 당보 야부 투 안에 되니 제와 야고치 주마 안에 참아 도도치네 강가 냠리 치기나 루고 그래서.
So just like Lama Tsongkhapa said at the beginning, study throughout day and night in the middle, and then should see all those studies that you did as advice, instruction, and then at the end you apply that all the instructions or the teachings into a practice throughout day and night.
제가 남주 대시 제베가라 고카카카가 대시 자그레세 냠네 제베가라 사마 로로칠 독토고다.
So when it's explained, it's explained separately. But when you practice, they should all come together.
배는 간도 자신보기 소와이나 자데 지그나라로 오마데 셴바질라로 제네데 셴바질라로 축하카가 여러와 자신보 소라 사마 밥지그나로 어느 부부야 그지 아니 자신보도 연구 여러와.
So just like if you want to have a delicious cup of tea, then you have to mix all these ingredients together, right? There's milk in the separate jar. There's and actually in the refrigerator you might have milk in a separate jar, and a sugar in a separate jar, and then there's a tea bag or loose teas in a separate jar, and then there's water in a different separate container. But if you want to make a delicious tea, then you have to mix all this together into water, boil it mix with the milk and sugar and tea, and then you have this delicious tea.
뭐네 자다 때려 다잖아 아니 주망한테 자야보 소식 말어.
당분에
당번에 다 자다 때려 실룩 차이나 아니 그 자야보 소통 말어 소식 말어. 소소소 태 다다다 집에 와 있나?
And so you have to do it in a right amount, properly, right? So if you just mix it, all in a different amount, not the right, an incorrect amount, then you might spoil the tea.
예상해마 당에 땐데 정모도 바지 조지 별을 배울 거라야 별이야 로사와는 진짜 뭐 말해. 즉 당까지 뺑 개봐줘서 와. 당이 땐데 다좀 때되게 간제 대나도 경우래. 로사와는 진짜 뭐래. 아니 조지다 파티 저를 제가 갈래야. 오늘 전에 빼자만 대시 잡을 거라다 다 조지 아, 내려에는 나처럼 용거에 문도 와다. 저는 별은 도 와서 오실 때니 좋아해 봐. 조지 인고다 땐데 정도. 아니 드니 다 냠래 자고 갈라다 산이 아니 조지가 코냠리 따 되어 갈라 감바 찍나라 감바 싸슴지 담보디 갈라 아니 도 냠래지 드니 아니 샤지 드니 셰지 드니 나남 짜 시간이야 아니 냠래 마다 숨쉬어도 아니 드니 조지 아레다 나 용어도 팬 토사레스 세당 내가 하고 온데 되나 냠래 제당된 지금 누구서 모델이 좋아해 봐.
So I'm not 100% sure about who the teacher is. Maybe it's Lama Disha and the translator Rinchen Sangpo. Maybe I don't know exactly, but anyway. So let's say it was Rinchen Sangpo, and when Rinchen Sangpo was very learned, so when he explained, he was so thorough and so well explaining that Lama Disha thought that it was no use for him to come to Tibet. There was such a great learned person. Why did I have to come? But then when he was doing the practice, then he had this 4-story house practice and practice. So in one story he will go and do the practice of the sutra and then tantra and so different teachings. And then Lama Disha said, now it makes sense for me to come because he doesn't really know how to apply that into practice.
Okay, now I'm talking too much. 제가 로종 그냥네 사마 노 전에 파 사마 루 전에 아니 소소다 노트아웃 전에 소소 딱 되오 신념네 제도나데 야보도.
So anyway, so all these teachings on the mind training that you have taken notes on, and then you see how you can put into all this practice in the most convenient way for you.
가든베 개위신이 된데 봤나 따쇼네 딱 깜박지대 옆체강의 옆체를 당가도 옆체대 진짜 지 파조 샤베가라 람름 차상 샤금 제도를 해서 어떻게 셰루 소요래 당간도는데 요사말을 람름 칠 간의 정도도.
So the Kata masters, there's the advanced Kata masters, who are so familiarized with the practice of the Lam-rim, and they can do the whole Lam-rim practice in such a short amount of time. So the amount of time it takes, for them to climb on the horse, so put on saddle, and then get to the other side, and within that amount of time, they can contemplate on the whole stages of path to enlightenment.
그래도 오늘 세계지 뭐사 말아 세계지님은 먹으면 더 깜박이 윙샤다 지파가 레로로.
So to climb on the horse, that on this side to the other side, I mean, that takes only about a couple of seconds only, right? And so within that amount of time, they can, contemplate on the whole Lam-rim.
이나 따데 삼로 땅다랑 같은 간도 삼로데 뺑 줘보도
So it's the way you think, right? The mind is very fast, right?
제가 샘다 어느 가긴 좋아요.
So which one is faster? Is the mind or the electricity?
그런 세리베스나 어든 좋아하다. 시단 넘린 좋아하다 어디 말로.
Or the light? You know? So which is faster, light or mind? I think scientists say the light is faster. Right?
The scientist said the light is the most fast one, right? Okay, now which one fast? Mind or light? Bob?
Light.
It's the light. And light and then it janal로 가는 거래.
How long does it take for light to get to China from here?
님에게 거기 가도 바로 말레발라 가는 거래. 님에게 이게는 내려와 가는 거래.
How long does the light from the sun, takes to come to the earth?
8 minutes?
That sounds about right.
제가 잠깐만 곳에 있는데 영화는
About 5 minutes, right?
8 minutes, right? 제가 나도 샘그 니마사 롤 샤바다 샘 니마사 랩사다.
So that's how long it takes, for the light from the sun to reach the earth, right? But from here, our mind, so the moment we think about the sun, our mind is already there.
Okay, now I'm stop. We talk too much, but this is good. The one of the not common the science in Buddhism is mind, only mind, right? The other things, the investigation, His Holiness said the emptiness is very similar for the science. How you say?
Quantum physics.
Quantum physics, right? There's a very similar like that. The mind, the science doesn't recognize or they doesn't still find that Buddhism said they have something mind. We call there's something behind that. Therefore, that there is a ganzo shizora, shizuka, ganzo shivikabla, shizavikabla, ganzo pardosa, the pain joboyores. Ko zume or my cause, Kawasama, and some that the liberal thing on the Shagro.
So usually we say that, when we die, we go into the intermediate state. So intermediate state don't have that a physical body, right? So they have this only mental body, and then it's very fast. So wherever you think you're already there.
Okay. Anyway, it's wonderful. I've talked too much. I hope you guys understand a little bit and do a little bit of meditation. Okay. I think this time is the best time to meditation. Because no one bother you. If someone bother you, you cannot complain anyone. Otherwise, if we hear Gomba, if you try to meditation, someone knock the door or someone get up, then or the old house, the walk is not level, sounds good. Then airplanes come in here, you have a lot of excuses. Right now, and you're your own place, if you have time, just not too long. Too long, then you're tired. Maybe you're sleeping, your meditation just come together. Some people do the practice all day because sleep, then practice. Then sleep, practice. Not like that. Just short time, couple times. Okay. Okay, now we stop.
Saji perki jukchik metok tram re rabling jini de gyempadi sangye jingdu mingte uragi droku namdak jing lacher parshuk jetun lame kute rabten ching nam patrin ne chok jerge padang lo sandan metru me sasungi rowe munsel tak tu negur chid idam guru ratnaman dalakam niryatayami. In that snow mountain encircled land, source of every benefited joy, may Lord Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezig remain in life till samsara's end. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings who extensively clarifies the path that unifies emptiness and compassion to the lotus in the hand, Lord Tenzin Gyatso, I beseech, may all your holy wishes be fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Majjhima's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplishes magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. Through this virtue, may I swiftly, having gained Guru Buddha state, place each and every sentient being without exception in that state, precious supreme Bodhi mind bear, where unborn arise and where born never decline but increase forevermore. Se we te chen chen rezi, remaken pe wang po jang pel yang, gang chen ke pe tsu gen Tsongkhapa, lo sang grau pe jabla so wa de. Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Jangchub.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Jangchub.
We're out of time, so no messages really. Just check the calendar regularly and one-on-one meetings after this.
Thank you, Geshe. Thank you, Jangchub.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Geshe.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.